Shane Gillis, live on stage.
I'm a bit of a history buff, which, by the way, that is early onset Republican.
His biggest tour ever is coming to Des Moines.
If you're a white dude in your 20s and 30s and you're like, I can't stop reading about World War II, it's coming, bro.
See Shane Gillis with his unmistakable comedic style. Live at Wells Fargo Arena Saturday, May 31st. Get tickets now at iowaeventcenter.com. For more, visit ShaneMGillis.com.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
And welcome to Sports and More with Murph and Andy, live on Iowa everywhere, alongside Andy Fales in West Des Moines and Andrew Downs in Urbandale. I'm Keith Murphy in San Diego. More on why in just a moment. But first, Andy, how about a weather update from Iowa?
Yeah, it is crazy. I think the craziest thing about this is just how much it's changed in 24 hours. When you left, Murph, was it raining when you left? Was it raining yet?
It was.
Okay.
It was raining, yes.
So the rain kind of picked up all day yesterday, and then it was still just rain when I went home last night, which was extra late because the presidential address went so long. It was still just rain, but then as I was getting ready to go to bed at like 1 a.m., I could kind of hear the sleet hitting the windows and the wind begin to kick up. And then as I got up this morning, everything was white. We had this great big front move in, and this is the look now.
Jeez.
Here's the outside camera out in front of the house here. See the city of West Des Moines. Got the snowplow out there. Lewis hoping he'll stop and play.
Just wet, heavy snow, too.
Yeah, it's all ice underneath. It's all frozen slush. It's gross. Look at this.
Dang.
Yeah. The wind has been been kind of the story. It's what's kind of turned this into the kind of storm where businesses, clubs, churches, schools all announced they were closing 24 hours in advance. I'll have to say around here in the metro, we didn't get that much snow. There's maybe an inch on the ground, more in the areas where it's blown. My kids don't have school. I feel like we could have had school. It doesn't seem like it's that bad, but west of here and northwest of here especially, it's really, really bad. And if you look at the Iowa DOT maps, they're just full of travel not advised, roads closed, roads that are completely snow and ice covered. Here's a shot of a big accident. I'm not sure exactly where this is from, Andrew. Do you know? This is out on some highway.
Yeah, I don't. I'll find that.
It's from the Iowa State Patrol. This is what happens when semis try to drive and this kind of stuff. So it's a bad day. A lot of places have just shut down and rolled up the carpet for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, the Iowa State Patrol is saying do not drive. Do not go out there and drive. And they attach that photo on their warning just as a way of saying it's too dangerous out here. Don't try it.
Yeah, this is I-80 out by Newton.
Ooh, I-80 by
okay,
Newton.
yeah.
Not too far
east of the
from
metro,
Des Moines.
yeah.
Well, it is, of course, not like that here in San Diego, thankfully. It is like 60 degrees, though. It's cool here. People are walking around in parkas and heavy jackets because this is cold for San Diego, but it's nothing like what you're going through there. Just a little update of why I'm here. Our good friend Bryce Miller is in the hospital. It's been very serious. Been a troubling week. I think many people who follow us, and Bryce has so many friends in Iowa and beyond, know that he's been fighting cancer and fighting hard, and just had some tough things happen this week. His mom is here, and his brothers are here, and his extended family. Andy, I know you are friends with not only Bryce's friends from Iowa, but you know some of his friends from the fishing crew. and they're all at the hospital right now. And if anything, there's so many people here because of the love for Bryce that the doctors and nurses are reminding us that he needs rest too. And we need to, because he's such a social person.
Yeah.
He tries to engage us even when he shouldn't be, or sometimes you just see the twinkle in his eyes and he's making a joke or being sarcastic. But I'm out here, and it's a really tough time to be gone from my job at WHO 13, but our boss, Rod Peterson, and John Sears and Mark Freund, they've all stepped up and said, get out there. And I'm thankful for a little bit of break here as Bryce is in physical therapy, just to be able to have something to take my mind off how serious it is out here at times.
Yeah, Bryce is a unique friend. I mean, he's a guy that you have fun with, and I can imagine having him in a serious situation like this is really different and difficult, because I mean, Bryce is he's like a mini bike, right? I mean, he's not for display purposes. I mean, you're friends with Bryce because you have fun with Bryce. You go on trips with Bryce, and you go fishing with Bryce, and you go drinking with Bryce, and you watch sports with Bryce. I mean, Bryce is like he's a friend who is about fun, and that's when you see him, you see him because that's what you guys are getting ready to do. And then just talking with him, it means you're probably telling old funny stories about the fun that you've had with him in the past. And I can imagine it's probably hard to hang around his hospital bed and not want to tell these stories and have him engage with those stories. But it really speaks volumes, and that Bryce is he's one of those guys that just has always had time for you, to do something fun with you, to do something fun with anybody. And I mean, the guy, his list of friends just doesn't have an end. It has like a comma, right? So, because it just keeps on going, keeps adding them. And then, he moved out to San Diego, which wasn't like all that long ago, but he's got this core group of friends from this bar that he started just walking down to by himself. And then pretty soon now, I mean, he doesn't go anywhere alone. He's got just this whole family of guys, and we've met a bunch of them, and they're really great. But I mean, he just is one of those guys that is so magnetic that it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that he has that many people around him right now, Murph.
And many people are asking me for specifics and details, and it's really not for me to share those. I'm just sharing kind of what I know the family is okay with. And Bryce was at spring training covering the Padres, and he's in this house with other sports writers who are there for spring training, and they share a house. And Bryce started alarming some of the other reporters and his boss, and his boss put him on an airplane and got him back here. And then he immediately was admitted to the emergency room and has been in the ICU in the hospital ever since. And it was just not a surprise, but just such a cool thing for his boss to act so quickly. They left the car that Bryce had driven to spring training there. Bryce's brother stopped, picked it up, drove it here to San Diego. So there is just this big group of friends and family, and it is definitely a reminder of the important things in life, because you see how much it matters right now when you have groups from Iowa and San Diego and Iowa City, where Bryce went to college. They're all reaching out, they're all coming here, and Bryce never said no to any fun. He was a guy like, hey, Bryce, you want to go fishing? Yes. I haven't told you when yet. I know. Yes. So he has been living his life, and we're glad to be here for him. And I'm glad to have this break just to get outside the hospital a little bit and talk to you guys and have this show. And it's nice to, as I've said before, but under different circumstances, it's nice to be able to do this show from anywhere. And I would rather not be doing it from here under these circumstances, but it is a nice break and I appreciate it. I wish I could do my other job from the road, but I can't. So
we all do. Yeah, this has kind of spoiled us for everything, but we understand Bryce is listening to us right now. So that is that's a good thing. Let's try to have a good show for Bryce.
Yeah, let's do it for Bryce. And by the way, one final thing, I was getting on the airplane after virtually no sleep Monday night when this went down, and his brother, Bryce's brother, Brian, said, you should get out here. So I left early in the morning, and as I'm getting on the plane, the Delta agent grabs the microphone and gives a speech about his wife and father both have cancer. And it just coincidentally is this time to, if you would like to give a donation, come get one of these Never Lose Hope bracelets. And I thought, man, that's quite a coincidence.
Honest to God, I thought you were going to say the flight attendant got up there and made an announcement about Bryce. Yeah, I really did. I just want to acknowledge the fact that half of this plane is headed to see Bryce Miller right now out in San Diego. Mike is a fishing buddy of his, and he just goes down and reads the roll call for all the reasons that people know Bryce. Bryce is one of those guys where his life is like burn the candle at both ends. Only that doesn't, like, the candle's only got two ends, so that analogy doesn't work there. I mean, he's burned the candle at like 9 different ends at the same time. He's done so much.
When you just said you're surprised the gate agent didn't grab the mic and say, hey, just before everybody gets on the plane, just shout out to Bryce Miller. It occurred to me, he is middle-aged Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's what that's the
save Bryce on the water tower.
Yeah. There will be a water tower. Yeah, at some point that pops up. Look, I
save
mean, all
Bryce.
this. The only thing I think Bryce would like more than hearing us talk about this stuff and tell these stories is some Huey Lewis in the news. So Andrew, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to cue that up because YouTube will kick us off. Bryce, I hope you understand we can't play your Huey Lewis. We'll send you a CD.
I feel like if Bryce could talk in this moment, he would say, Andy, why don't you try to help me get better, not worse? He doesn't want to hear Huey Lewis. That's not his recovery music. Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for today's sports and more, including the Flurry Fury, unfinished comeback, and Peyton's Grace. That is all presented by the Guest House Tavern, Northwoods-inspired Midwestern hospitality. Right now it is high or low since the last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
5 years in business, these guys know what they're doing. If you're struggling with your taxes, haven't started those yet, you think this is the year that you want some help, that's a good idea, and a great place to start is wealthcharterretirement.com. Tim Hawkins will take your call up there. All right, I'll go right back to the well. So in talking about Bryce, I was noticing it gave me an excuse to look through my phone pictures, and I have so many pictures of Bryce Miller that he literally has his own folder.
Oh my goodness!
That Apple made for him in my iPhone pics, and that's what happens when you go fishing. You take lots of pictures, and I have so many pictures. Bryce and I have been fishing together. I really honestly don't remember when we started, but it's been at least 15 years. And I mean, from dinky little farm ponds here in Iowa that you literally could cast all the way across to the other bank, to monstrous Lac Seul up in northwestern Ontario. We fished all over the place together in all sorts of conditions. And I could never exhaust all the funny fishing stories that we have together, but just getting to look back at some of these pictures, and it's like there's stories, like just looking at some of these, just the little accessories, the shit that Bryce is wearing around his neck right there, and there's stories to that. There are like all of these funny things. Look at the size of that crap. That's out of a little Iowa farm pond, just huge frying pan sized crappies out with him.
You always say that there is not a gadget or accessory that Bryce is unwilling to try when it comes to fishing.
No, and as I'm looking at some of this stuff, what he's wearing around his neck right now, that the line clipper, that's mine. He's like you with pens, only with line clippers. He'd be like, "Hey, you got a line clipper that I can borrow?" Sure, and I'll give it to him, and I will never see it again. And then I look, like 3 days later, he's got it around his neck. I was like, "Man, I'll let you borrow that to clip one line, not to keep." He's got it again there. Look at that. That's a whole different trip. Yeah, so he's like he's a klepto. But anyway, yeah, we just had so many good times. I have so many great fish. I have more pictures of Bryce with fish than I have with me and fish. Because yeah, I mean, it's my camera and I'm usually taking the pictures, so it's usually Bryce that is the subject. So, but it's fun to have an excuse, right, to look into your phone photos.
That's probably going to be the next thing is a folder of Bryce photos will just come with the Apple iPhone. There's that's the next Bueller move for Bryce.
Oh, and going with him to Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops was always the funniest thing. He'd walk in and he would grab a basket, and you're like, yeah, right. Or sometimes he wouldn't grab the basket. No, I'm just whatever I can carry. You're like, yeah, right. Then he would upgrade to the basket, and pretty soon he's got like a shopping cart full of stuff. He's such a sucker for lures.
I'm going to go high as well, and mine comes out of the Bryce Miller canon as well, and it's just, well, dogs are the best. We all feel that way except Andrew. And they brought Maya by the hospital room last night. Bryce loves dogs. It's a therapy dog.
Yeah.
And, man, it melted me, and Maya came in and sit up there giving Bryce some kisses on the bed and everything. And it warmed him up. And it got to me just in the best way. It's just like, dogs are the best. Bryce is the best. So shout out to Maya, the therapy dog, for coming by. And that's awesome. And then on the way out, the lady with Maya just kind of randomly grabbed Bryce's foot, which was kind of odd. And Bryce...
Why?
Not really sure. And Bryce kind of raised one of his eyebrows and just under his breath said something about, that's an HR complaint. and she this nice older lady says, it was just your foot.
Yeah, it was just like, what she think she was like shaking his hand but didn't want to shake his hand? I shake your foot here.
Yeah, maybe because he's got the tubes in the hands and all that, so maybe that is what she was thinking. I don't know. Interact with others on YouTube. And I see Bruce Miller, his brother, just interacted there, and it was a comment about Huey Lewis. So that's cool. You can interact there on YouTube, or it's email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy, and it is all powered, as I am here today, by the Cellular Advantage with 35 regional locations, proud partner with U.S. Cellular since 1993. Now, let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
All right, the buzz is a wild night at Hilton Coliseum. You got this bad weather moving in, but the place is rocking. It's a late tip. Many people were calling for the game to be moved up, which did not happen and is probably not going to happen when you're on ESPN2. Bad weather, but fans still show up. And Andy, I guess I did watch this game in the room with Bryce and also with Ken Pink, whose wife Mary is an associate AD at Iowa State. Here's a look for those who are watching. This is the nicest television I've ever seen in a hospital room. It's like a big screen.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It's really nice.
Yeah, so we're watching the game there, and Bryce is watching with us as well. And Ken is getting photos of his wife and son from the game. And this game, it kind of, to me, becomes a microcosm of Iowa State's season, because you get a little bit of everything in this game. You get the ceiling, you get the floor, you get these surges, you get these turnovers. You see it all in one game, and you just don't know how it's going to end, because it starts with really bad basketball and bad shooting from both teams. And then BYU, one of the hottest teams in the country, gets hot, and you think, well, that's it. They're down 21. They're not catching. They just don't have it tonight, the Cyclones. Then they come all the way back from 21 down to tie and take the lead, and you think, well, now they can win it. But they do things like not get shots off before the shot clock buzzer. They have a dunk that Nate Heisey took way too long to get up to the basket, and it gets blocked. Ends up as a BYU loss in double overtime, and it's one that got away from the Cyclones, but this thing had it all.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of looked at, when we were looking at the last three games, everybody was concerned about this game, knowing how good BYU has been recently and how the Cyclones have kind of struggled. I think that last game, though, against Arizona kind of made us think, okay, maybe this will be okay. But no, BYU is good, and they played really well. Certainly well enough to win a game at Hilton Coliseum, that's playing really well. It was a very frustrating game to watch. Watch them climb all the way back in, where they just had chance after chance to grab the lead, extend the lead, add to it. They had just a number of chances where it looked like they got a good look at the basket, and they just couldn't get shots to fall. Had a chance to win this thing, or really good chance to win this thing at the end of regulation, and Jefferson's shot just rolls around the rim and off after he's fouled. Could have been a 3-point play. Did hit his free throws, but he could have had one more point there, and maybe one right there in overtime. Really, and in both of the overtimes, they didn't start well, especially the second overtime. They started with 2 turnovers. BYU turned those into 4 points and just put the Cyclones in a hole again. They just kept doing that to themselves. They kept getting right up to the point where they take over the game and then shooting themselves in the foot. So that crowd did all it could last night. I mean, it was loud. It got to 120 decibels, a couple of different points. The fans, it was late. I mean, they stayed late. This game was still going. We went on way late last night because of the president's speech went 100 minutes. And we went on way late, and the game still wasn't completely over when John Sears was doing his sportscast. It was like in the final ticks of the second overtime. But, the fans did all they could staying late, but the Cyclones just didn't have it. And I think we're right back to where we were before the Arizona game and worrying about this team again in the postseason.
A couple of crazy stats from this game, too, Andy. BYU had 29 turnovers and won. And BYU out-rebounded Iowa State by 30. I mean, some of that is increased possessions by the turnovers, but 29 turnovers, that is insane. And what comes out of this that has any impact? Well, the double bye in Kansas City is gone. That'll now be next? I think I saw Chris Williams post 11:30 Wednesday Iowa State will play. And the two seed seems gone to me in the NCAA tournament. I don't know how you could get that back, because we know they don't really value the conference tournaments that much. So even if Iowa State goes on a run in Kansas City, and Iowa State, with realities of injuries and illness, is 7-7 in the past 14 games. And you didn't think this was a team capable of having a 7-7 stretch. And of course, to get to the Final Four, you got to win 4, 5, 6 games all to go through the championship all the way. So you're going to have to get more consistent, obviously.
Yeah, right. And when, we start filling out brackets and stuff during March Madness, isn't that one of the first things everybody looks? And what's this team been like during its last, 15 games? What kind of a run are they on? Maybe they've got a really inflated record, but that was, a lot of those wins came from the very first part of the season. What have they been doing lately? And then they look at Iowa State and then think I think you got to think at this point, okay, this is a team that is not a real safe bet right now. Still has tons of potential. Saw a lot of that last night, but also has the potential to not play up to their capability. I mean, that they played 2 full overtimes and didn't have a score. No one broke 20 points. No one hit 20 points. I think with 19 points. Looks like Murph is a little bit frozen up over there, but
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Is he good now? He's still just a little bit frozen, which is ironic. He's in San Diego. He's the one frozen, and we're here in Central Iowa, where the weather is just absolutely locked us down for the day. For better or for worse, could your kids have gone to school today?
They could have. Yeah. I feel like they should have done a 2-hour delay and kind of seen how things were. There were a couple of times early this morning where the snow was really blowing. It was like, okay, this is probably best, but it's not all that bad out there right now.
I don't think it is either. I think outside of the metro, clearly there's some bigger problems. But I guess the thing that I'm still getting used to is the concept of these things being canceled 24 hours in advance. Now, we really cancel stuff early. It doesn't seem like we used to do that. It seemed like we were always waiting by the phone as kids for the superintendent's call, that he would go outside and make the call literally right before school would start and be like, all right, we're not having school today. All right, Murph is back with us now.
I think I'm back. Sorry about that. Could happen again, but I will try to hang in there. Did we get to the quickie poll from WCI Pools and Spas?
No. Fired up.
Let's do it.
Which is more likely for the Cyclone men in the big dance? A first-round exit or a Final Four run?
These are both.
First round exit is more likely at this point.
You think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think you have consistency is what you're talking about here. Right? Are they capable? Are they talented enough to be a Final Four team? Yeah, but I mean, have they shown the kind of consistency that it would take to make that kind of run through the NCAA tournament? You want to bet on that? I don't.
It seems difficult to imagine a team this talented being bounced by a 14 or 13. What would it be? 14 seed or 13.
If they're a 3, yeah. Well, we've seen it.
But we have seen it happen. It can happen. This doesn't seem to be any kind of locker room or culture problem, but it is a turnover consistency problem. And you turn it over enough, or you get out rebounded the way Iowa State did last night. You could lose. You could lose in the first round.
Turnovers at really bad times too. Saw that last night.
All right, other hot topics here. Iowa, Wisconsin in the women's basketball tournament, the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. That's taking place tonight. Iowa has beaten Wisconsin 30 straight times.
Hell yeah.
30. AD, this might be your favorite stat.
It is. It's absolutely incredible.
It's
hard to believe because Iowa's been good recently, but they've had down years in that 30 game span. I mean that spans 15 years if you play each other twice a season. That's
crazy.
Incredible. It really is.
The Iowa men host Michigan State Thursday night. Fran McCaffery said at his media availability yesterday he has no intention of leaving the program and every intention of coaching the team next year. This seemed to take some people by surprise, but I don't think that it should for many different reasons. It does seem like he's planning to be back. He's put together a good recruiting class. But even if there's a coaching change, and even if Fran McCaffery is more astutely aware of that possibility than he sounded in the press conference, he's not tipping his cards of any intent to step down or make this easier on Iowa. He wants the $4.5 million if they're going to force him out. And this is like the first play you make in that direction. It's like, he's not going quietly if he goes. So get your checkbook ready.
And coaches do this, right? I mean, you don't want to you don't want to look weak. You don't want to look like you're thinking about quitting, or that you listen to the writing on the wall, that you're reading the writing on the wall. Yeah, the coaches don't want to let on to that. They want to believe that, they are in full control of their own destiny and that they're wanted and needed. And he's still got a basketball team to coach, so I guess I don't really blame him. But this has given us some fodder to talk about.
And it's also uncomfortable topic while you still have games ahead of you. And I can see why some people get irritated that it's even brought up, but it is the number one topic of the fan base right now, of the Cyclone men or the Hawkeye men's basketball fan base, is who might be the next coach. Is it a lock that Fran is going to be gone? All of that. And it's been 15 years. So you understand why it's a conversation. You also understand why someone brings it up, but I'm not surprised by the answer at all.
No, I'm not either.
Senior Peyton Sanford, who opted to come back and instead of do what would likely be a two-way contract, NBA G League. I think that's about where his evaluation was. Grew up loving the Hawkeyes, went to Waukee, wanted to play for the Hawks, came back, did not expect to have this kind of season, wanted another shot at the NCAA tournament. Didn't happen. But Sanford talked in his media availability to reporters about some troubling things that have happened during this basketball season.
This isn't really the season that, I've really wanted to be defined by, but in a way this is kind of like, the person that I am and kind of what I want to be defined by. When times were the toughest and when things weren't going well, I stayed true to my character. I kept fighting, and when I had every out possible, I could have called it in January, I could have called it in November, I could have, backed out, could have backed down, but I never did. And I think that's what I'm most proud of myself for, because, it hasn't been easy, and there's been a lot of, bumps and bruises and a lot of tough days, and, a lot of people quitting on us, got death threats. I've got all sorts of stuff this year, but, I never quit. And, it hasn't been easy, but I think of all the years, I think this might be the year I'm the most proud of myself.
Death threats? Not to laugh, but
yeah. Yeah, it's been, I eventually I've tried to basically lose my phone for a while, but but it was tough, and, it affects you, and, you're just playing a game, you just want to be a kid, and that stuff can bother you, and, it got under my skin a little bit, but, I'm really, really thankful for people I have around me.
I'm not sure who the reporter is there, but the reporter reacts, I think, like all of us do as you're listening. Hang on, wait, back up.
Death
Did
threats?
you say death threats? Wait, hang on. You got to rewind. Did you say death threats? And that's some knucklehead. If whatever death threats or somebody, you hope you don't have to take anything like that seriously. It's hard to imagine someone being that demented over men's college basketball having a disappointing season. But it's hard to hear somebody who's tried as hard as Peyton Sanford, who's represented Iowa as well as he has, to just have this much of a negative impression of his senior season.
Yeah, it is. And, this is kind of the dark side to our fanaticism when it comes to sports. The upside is when we're happy, we will sell out a game in 3 hours and stand outside in bitter cold and travel all over the country and name our kids after players and stuff like that. And then the dark side is, we take this stuff personally, right? And we make a personal target out of players who are a part of something that is hurting our sports feelings, which is, every time somebody mentions it, he mentions that, and it's like you get two emotions at the same time. One, you can't believe it. Like, you think he's lying. And then second, you totally believe it because you can imagine the craziest of the sports fans that you've ever known doing something like that.
And you think, what is wrong with people? I mean, if you feel in any way, shape, or form that you have to reach out and throw some hate on a player who is doing his best and is more invested than any fan is. I mean, there's no fan that's trying harder or wants to win more than Peyton Sandfort does. So how do you think in any way that this helps? And it's also important to remember, this is not most fans. I mean, there's some really demented fans out there, and every fan base has them. And sometimes all fans get painted with this brush. Like right now, I'm sure there are people saying like, what is wrong with Hawkeye fans? Hawkeye fans are just terrible fans. Well, this is a terrible fan, or fans plural. If you sent Peyton Sandfort a death threat or something that made him this miserable that he had to get off social media, you're a terrible fan. But that's not most fans. And AD, I'm sure you want to distance yourself from any idiots that did something like this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I get caught up in the emotion of these things also. And you know, I get more depressed than I should about the outcome of some of these games. But like you said, none of us care more than the players and the coaches and the people who are in those programs and putting everything they have into those things every day. And that includes, you know, Coach McCaffery, who a lot of people have moved on from, but you know, he's trying very hard as well. He wants this as much as anybody. And so, it goes too far too often.
Got a couple of comments here that I think I kind of agree with. Herky the Cat say it was probably a degenerate gambler who lost a bet on the game. And then Clapperita says Herky's right. It's gamblers, idiots all over the world can now gamble easily on their phone. And I think, I think that does add more of a risk of something like this because people have literally their money on the line. And then I also think that that NIL is something else that
good point
leads to stuff like this because people now have their money on the line, or they know somebody else has their money on the line. These guys are getting paid for this stuff. They're being, you know, they're being treated as professional athletes. You know, so people feel like they have more right to be angry, more of a right to be angry and more of a right to express their anger. And I would guess that they have a harder time checking both of those things, their anger and the way that they express their anger. Both of those things go to greater extremes now that they have their actual money in the game.
Yeah, they're not real fans, but they are angry. Those are all good points. Shout out to Bennett Sturtz, who's won one of the coolest awards in all of sports, the Larry Bird Player of the Year. No surprise here. He's also the newcomer of the year. He's had a great season for your Drake Bulldogs.
Yeah, and I think everybody just needs a history lesson here and how incredible this is. Kurt Smith won this award when I was in college.
1993, I think.
Yeah. And for like when that happened, everybody was shocked. Like, how in the world did Drake get somebody like this? And ever since then, they've been shocked at how in the world Drake ever got somebody like that. And it seemed like that was a one-off and that was never going to happen again. And then Adam Emenecker comes, and then that's okay. Well, maybe it is more attainable. And then once he was gone, it was just, you know, right back to reality. We're wondering how in the world that ever happened. It had to be the biggest fluke of all time. And then you get Tucker DeVries, and suddenly that makes sense. But the moment he leaves, I feel like all of the Drake fans went right back to believing that we would never see that award won again. And it took 12 months for it to happen again. And it happened in, I don't know, is this more unlikely than Kurt Smith in 1993? Maybe. Everybody left. This isn't some Big booty Rudy Washington, incredible connection that he, brings Kurt Smith in for. This is the D2 coach that Brian Harden drove down to the fireworks stand in Missouri and hired, who immediately pays dividends, like greater than any coaching hire that anybody can remember has paid dividends. So I will never really believe that this is happening.
Ben McCollum, Coach of the Year, no surprise there, in his first year. And this guy, all he does is win conference championships. He's like on a 13-year run of conference championships. What
I was thinking about
coach.
that too. Yeah, they were standing out there with that confetti shower the other day after the win over Missouri State, and the players all taking it in. And I was like, well, these guys, this is the way the season always ends for them. Four of these guys that came from Northwest Missouri State, they're used to it. They expect this kind of thing. And Ben McCollum does too, because he is, just a guy that just keeps winning games like that. All right, I think Murph's back with us here. Or maybe not.
Confluence. Let's move to some beer. Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence is where good things come together. Oh, that sounds pretty good. I think I'd drink a Confluence beer right now. Trying to hang in there with you, but in the meantime, let's get some more.
Laughing at these comments. Yeah, let's get some more here.
But wait, there's more. From Either Or Eatery and Patio.
That comment is really funny. Let's take that down. It's kind of mean. God. Confluence or more is brought to you by Either Or. Either Or's patio today is not open, I don't believe. I think this is one of the days where they actually have to keep the patio closed. The furniture may get blown out onto the Aliber Soccer Complex, but inside is nice and warm.
I'm kind of a patio, so I'll sit in.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, ready or not, we spring forward and set our clocks ahead by an hour at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. The daylight saving time begins. So everybody, I hope everybody is preparing. Are you doing what the experts say to do? Is everybody getting up 5 minutes early every day? 15 minutes early every day? You're not?
Nope. Not doing anything.
Anybody see their therapist an extra time this week so you can cope with this hour difference? You're going to regret it, man. Monday, you're going to be extra tired. Most Americans are tired of changing their clocks twice a year, according to a new Gallup poll. It finds that 54% agree it's time to ditch the practice of switching to daylight saving time. Given the choice of which they prefer, 48% say they want standard time year-round, 24% want to keep daylight saving time all year, and 100% of those aren't actually sure what any of that actually means. Murph, are you with us today? We got him in mid-blink there.
I'm kind of here. I'm gonna tap out and try to find a better connection. Just take me out for a minute.
Oh my God! All right, fine. Should we wait on this? Well, guess we're gonna have to wait.
I've been waiting 2 years for this.
All right, Andrew. Today is Ash Wednesday.
It is.
It is a holy day of prayer and fasting in many Western Christian denominations. It is preceded by Shrove Tuesday and marks the first day of Lent, the 6 weeks of penitence before Easter. It has also, at times, been used to mark less than holy observations, such as in 2017 when in Irvington, New Jersey, a place called Sugar Daddy's Glory Hole offered 50% off cover and private dances in honor of Ash Wednesday. The promotion was roundly criticized by the local Catholic diocese, and the owner later apologized. Fewer Iowans are attending church or identifying as Christian per new 2023-2024 Pew Research Center data. Iowans identifying as Christians declined by 20% over the past 16 years, also mirroring the broader national decline. Meanwhile, the religiously unaffiliated, atheists, agnostics, and those identifying as nothing in particular grew by 16% over the same period. Greg Edwards is retiring from Catch Des Moines, the Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau, after 25 years on the post. We know Greg. Greg
He's
is a friend of ours.
Yeah, he lives 2 blocks from me.
We will miss Greg Edwards. He just constant smile on his face. He's always got that the preppy tie and the little smart guy glasses on and stuff.
He was always one of those guys on the radio show you didn't mind having come in because he could talk about literally everything. He always had some fun things to say, but his personality was so great.
Yeah, he would sit and he'd be like, yes, the Greater Des Moines Quilting Society will be at the Varied Industries Building on the State Fairgrounds this weekend, beginning at 3 p.m. on Friday. That would be the only time that he sounded like he was doing a job. The rest of the time he would just go off the cuff and sit and talk. Still does. He's not dead, but yeah, he is retiring, and that
he'll be missed.
He will be missed, but I imagine Greg Edwards has got a really good retirement plan for himself and his family. A woman's January TikTok about having a fever at 99.1 degrees is sparking a discussion about what normal body temperature is. The norm has been 98.6 for years, but it's not accurate according to science. The more common average body temperature of today is actually 97.9, which sounds like a radio station. 97.9, the mix.
The fever.
Yeah, the fever. The low-grade fever.
I don't think anything under 100 is a fever to me.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to get the triple digits for me to say fever. And that's not just because I want my kids to go to school.
People always have crazy stories about the fevers that they've had. Be like, yeah, I had 112-degree temperature. Yeah, right. And if there's like a doctor or a nurse in the room, they're like, yeah, oh yeah, no, it was my family had to put me into an ice bath. But yeah, that was no, man, that would fry your brain if that actually happened. Murph looks far less Californian now.
He does.
I'm in like a closet, but I seem to have a strong Wi-Fi signal here.
Yeah, good, nice closet. Appreciate that. The standard for the 98.6 being the standard temperature was based on people living 170 years ago. So maybe it was time that got updated. Our environment has changed drastically since then. So 170 years ago, it was 98.6. Now, 97.9, the bull.
The bull.
It's time for Tell Me Something Good.
Tell me something good.
Oh, it's back, baby. We got it. All right. This is a good story. So just wait for it. Right. An Australian man is dead, but
this is good.
He has saved over 2 million babies. His name is James Harrison, affectionately known as the man with the golden arm. His blood donations have saved 2.4 million babies. After a major surgery at age 14, doctors discovered that James's blood contained a rare antibody that could treat rhesus disease. That is a severe form of anemia in unborn babies. He donated plasma more than 1,000 times over 60 years. And his blood went to save, again, 2.4 million babies.
Kind of makes me feel like I haven't accomplished much.
Yeah, that is really great. Rest in peace, James Harrison. I told you that was good. That was really good.
Yeah, he's an overachiever.
Exceptionally good. Yeah. According to the survey of 2,000 U.S. adults, 12% admit to peeing in the shower every single day, while another 12% do it a few times per week. men are slightly more likely than women to do so. 30% of guys say they do it regularly. Only 20% of women admit to the same thing. So this is basically all just a good excuse for a Seinfeld break.
Could it be because you don't want him to know that you have a friend who pees in the shower? I think it is. I think that's exactly what it is.
Why couldn't you just wait?
I was there. I saw a drain.
Since when is a drain a toilet?
It's all pipes. What's the difference?
Different pipes go to different places. You're gonna mix them up.
I'll call a plumber right now.
All right, can we just drop all the pee pipe stuff here?
Okay.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
George, when he's on a rant, is just fantastic.
Yeah, he's like sniffing the whole thing out, and then clearly that's what's going on here with. All right, we'll cut it off right there so we get to Mr. Movie. That's your more, everybody.
All right, Grimaldi's fan photos, Murph _Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. Grimaldi's coal-fired brick oven pizza. Stop by the West Des Moines or District at Prairie Trail, Ankeny locations. Who do we have here, AD?
It's our guy Jens from Ankeny who won a few weeks ago and used his gift card at the Ankeny location. He also lets us know that you can't see it in the picture, but behind him, Rocco Becht and some other Iowa State football players are also there enjoying some Grimaldi's pizza.
Nice.
I think you can see him back there. Yeah.
We'll pick a winner for Friday. We'll have a $50 gift card to Grimaldi's. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Mr. Movie.
It's time to go to the movies with Mr. Movie, Mike Woody. Presented by P&P Small Engines.
Since 1976, P&P Small Engines has been serving the needs of Central Iowa homeowner and lawn care professionals. You tune up the old beast or trade up for a new mower. Seems like a good day to start thinking about doing it soon, doesn't it, Mr. Movie?
Nothing like Jeff sending me stuff about mowers will get it to snow like this.
Yeah, right. That's probably why it snowed. Yeah, he's having whiplash over there. He's snapping back and forth between spring and winter.
They did come out last week and picked up my riding mower, and it's in the shop getting probably waxed, and it'll be ready to go.
Mine's all finished. Yeah, they came and got it and replaced one of the tires. It's all set to go.
I'm not sure on ours. I'll check with Jenny.
How'd you lose a tire?
I didn't lose it. It was just it needed to be replaced, and that's kind of one of the great things about buying from a place like P&P. They know the mower, they know all the parts, they check it all over, and if you need that work done, they just do it.
Yeah, I called to remind him to pick it up before it started raining last week, and he's like, "Hey, Sally, it's already here." I'm like, "Wow!"
Support
Holy
local.
cow. Yeah.
Our out of the box topic this week is a Gene Hackman movie. And we get 4 choices. We each get one. And there are so many great Gene Hackman roles that just looking through the list, looking through all of his catalog of movies makes me feel like, Mike, if anything, Gene Hackman might be underrated. I think he's in the conversation of greatest actors ever.
Oh, I think he's easy top 5 greatest actors ever. I mean, he could do anything.
Yeah.
Yes. He could be funny. He could be intimidating. He could be scary. He could, he could be a buddy. He could be in a crime movie. He could do it all. I'm going to lead off here with, for our audience, what would probably be the favorite Gene Hackman role of all time. And it is Norman Dale in Hoosiers. And his performance elevates a good movie to greatness, not just among sports movies, but in my mind, among movies, period, because he has these nuances of depth in this movie that show you that this is a man who knows he's on his final chance. This is a redemption story of a guy that is trying to find redemption in this little town that's not even on a map in Indiana, where they don't want him. They don't want him there. And Hackman does so many things that I can't imagine another actor doing in this movie, but a couple that come to mind. is the way he nervously, almost condescendingly chuckles at time, just, it's not a sincere laugh. It's a, I know what's at stake here laugh. And then there's that scene where he's almost talking about himself, but he's also talking about the player's alcoholic dad. And he just finds the absolute perfect line delivery of, you're embarrassing your son. And the guy needs to hear it, but it's the way he
so
says
hard,
it.
though.
Yeah. It does. And, there's all the other stuff in this movie, the speech, and we're way past big speeches here. The final line of the movie, I love you guys. It's just, it's a fantastic performance. So I'm going to start with Norman Dale. What did you think of him in Hoosiers?
Well, I don't think you can find a better performance than that. I mean, he was just perfectly cast, and he did everything he could to make that character truly come to life.
And when he was in the movie, it's famously been told many times, he thought, he didn't think this was going to work. Like he did not think the movie was going to be good. And immediately we all knew it was good. And it remains now, you show it to your kids or your grandkids. It's going to be around longer than we are. Andy,
I think making a movie is like putting a puzzle together. You don't really understand what it's going to be at the end until you get to the end.
Right. Some movies we think are going to be a mess are actually great, and some movies that people thought were going to be great are a mess. Andy, what do you pick from Gene Hackman?
Yeah, it was really hard. There's such a list. There'll be a bunch of movies of his that we won't even talk about today that deserve to be talked about because he was so good, and as you guys have pointed out, he was so versatile. You don't think of him as a dramatic actor or a comedic actor. You just think of him as a great actor.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, the best example of how great he was the Royal Tenenbaums, because he's put into this quirky movie, this Wes Anderson movie that's, weird, and it's loaded with stars, and you're not really sure what's going on really the whole time. It's just such an odd story. And Wes Anderson is just, he's a young director at the time. And he steps into that role as Royal Tenenbaum, the family patriarch. And he is so funny in this role that I can't watch these clips without laughing out loud, and I've seen him 100 times. He's so funny and I don't know why he's funny. Why is he funny in that role? He's not a physical comedian. He's just sort of oblivious to the world around him. He doesn't understand how he looks. He's one of those people that just kind of feels like rules and, expectations don't apply to him. So he just kind of coasts along like a dumb shit. But he's so, the way he's dressed, he's so damn funny in that movie. And yet at the same time, I'm watching all these clips now talking about how annoyed he was during the shooting of that whole movie with Wes Anderson and with this weird story. But at the same time, I mean, can you imagine? He's so annoyed. He had to have been distracted, right? But at the same time, he's just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
He's doing the job. But
yeah, and he in the Royal Tenenbaum role, it's got a little bit of redemption to it as well. He kind of realizes he's the reason the whole family is screwed up, but then he has some fun with these grandkids, like he's trying to be a little bit better grandfather than he was a father. But
so he
he's
shows them how to
shoplift
and go to dog fights
and people who have been watching our show or listening to our show for a long time, they'll recognize. Let's throw a brick through the other guy's windshield.
I'm not talking about dance lessons. I'm talking about throwing a brick through the other guy's window. I'm talking about taking it out and chopping it up.
That's it. That's it. Mr. Movie?
I hate Wes Anderson movies. Just hate Wes Anderson.
Some of them really miss the mark.
Man,
This is by far my favorite one.
Yeah, it's probably by far the best, but it doesn't have to do much to do there. You know what? He doesn't get enough credit for being a great comedian. And if you see him as Lex Luthor in those Superman movies, he is just bouncing off the wall crazy. And poor Christopher Reeve has to stand next to him in that costume.
It works, though, because Christopher Reeve's sincerity needs somebody that's polar. And Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor brings that.
Yeah, he was just brilliant as that character, and that is a tough character to play.
I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. And like I don't think anybody even picked how scary he is in The Unforgiven.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I mean, oh my gosh, or Popeye Doyle in not The Conversation.
French Connection.
French Connection.
Yeah, gosh. AD, what are you picking from the Gene Hackman catalog?
Yeah, he won Oscars for those movies, and we're not even picking them. I thought about picking Enemy of the State, which is a great Will Smith movie that surprisingly holds up, even though it's all about technology. But submarine movies work. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like they should, but they do, and I think Crimson Tide is the best of them. And a big part of that is because of Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington, two of the greatest actors of all time, and they just go head-to-head in this movie. It's a standoff. It's a debate whether or not to launch a nuclear missile at Russia, so it couldn't have higher stakes, and it's just incredible. And again, you don't think it should work. It's just a couple of guys, basically in a tube under the ocean, and they just make it incredible. And the standoff between them, every scene that they're both in is amazing. I love this movie.
Look at Denzel's glare right there. I mean, he's not a happy guy.
No, and if you haven't seen Crimson Tide, find this and watch it. You will love it. You will not regret it. It moves fast, but the best parts are when the two of them, they're coming from like a modern warfare take from Denzel Washington and the old school warfare take from Gene Hackman. And you need an actor that can go toe-to-toe with Gene Hackman, and Denzel Washington is one of the few who's ever lived that can stand there and trade punches of charisma with Gene Hackman. And they go at it, and they both have a point, and they kind of both respect the other's point, but they both are convinced that their point is more right than the other.
Yeah. Great movies.
And he's been out of it for so long. I mean, The Royal Tenenbaums was his third to last movie.
Wow.
Yeah, he retired from
2001.
acting.
Yeah.
Okay, geez. Another,
Holy cow.
Lived another nearly a quarter century. All right, let's get to the reviews from Mike Woody, Mr. Movie. Last Breath is a movie that looked good to me, and I thought it looked like it had enough drama and action that I could probably talk my wife into going to see this with me.
You know what? I deliberately didn't know a lot about the movie going in, but it's based on a true story about these people who have to go to the bottom of the ocean to repair cables that are broken or severed for whatever reason. And Woody Harrelson reminds me in this movie that he can actually act. He is really good, and it is intense, really intense. And I sat there, a buddy of mine and I went, and we walked out, and it's like, that was a really, really good movie, which you don't really expect if you see the trailers for it going in. You think it's going to be one of those Liam Neeson steps in and saves the day. It's a really good movie, and it's based on a true story. Holy cow.
Yeah, and it's only about 90 minutes long, too,
Yeah.
so it moves right along.
Yeah.
I am kind of a little bit familiar with the true story that this tells. And the true story that it tells, the movie I would pick, at least, I haven't seen this movie, but the movie that has kind of a similar story to it is Apollo 13, where you're in this race against time with people who have to make these
Right.
Life-saving decisions with not a whole lot of time to figure it out. They have to think quickly and act quickly. Do you see that comparison at all?
I do, absolutely. Because, they're in this claustrophobic environment. Tragedy happens and you just gotta do it. I mean, you don't have time to think.
So what grade would you give Last Breath?
I'd say it's an A-. It's really well done. I think it's playing at the Fluor for at least another week too.
Yeah, I see Brian Slack says amazing movie. Last Breath is an 8.5, maybe a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10, and you give it
I'm with Brian.
A-. Yeah. Is it on IMAX at the Palms?
I don't think so.
Okay, because that would
that
probably
sounds
be
like
cool.
It'd be a good one on IMAX.
Yeah.
Daredevil Born Again.
I watched this last night. Now, I'm a comic book nerd anyway, so there was a Daredevil series years ago that was really well done, and then it kind of went away prematurely as far as I was concerned. And here they are bringing it back with all of the same actor, most of the same actors. Some of the characters didn't quite make it to this one, but it's really, really well done. And this Charlie Cox guy that plays Daredevil, he's really good. So it's on Disney Plus. It's a good B+.
Okay, B+ for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
0 Day, I have watched the first episode on Netflix, and then my life got spun out a little bit. So episode 1 ends with quite the reveal, quite the
yes, it does.
twist. So I'm interested to see where this is going. What did you think of it?
Well, and I think it's only about 5 episodes, if I'm correct. But De Niro plays an ex-president. There's a huge crisis going on in the country. He may or may not know more than he can remember because he's got some dementia issues. But it's really well cast, and it's intense. I mean, I don't binge a lot of TV, but Sue and I think we binged the last 3 episodes, and it was really good.
Wait, tell me where this is one more time.
This is on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah, this is Netflix, and you can watch it all at once too if you choose, because they're all there. All the episodes are there. You don't have to wait a week. So what do you give the grade for 0 Day?
It's a B+.
Okay.
If there's 5 episodes, there could have been a great 4 episodes, but not worth arguing about.
Next week, is it Mickey 17?
Mickey. This is the guy that did you ever see the movie Parasite?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still trying to figure out what it was about. This one is by the same director, same writer, and this guy plays a guy that is just killed over and over and over again. So, here's 17 and they've got 18 waiting in the wings. It looks super weird, super bizarre. But I don't know. We'll see.
This director has his fans, though. I know my son Cade will be at this first weekend.
Yeah,
he likes Parasite. Night of the Zoopocalypse.
Night of the Zoopocalypse. It's a cartoon movie for the kids.
Oh, it's a cartoon. Okay. Yeah. By title, I thought this was going to be an R-rated hackfest with zombies and a lot of deaths, and it's animated.
No, Keith. You just constantly go that direction. Come on.
Yeah, Zoo. You knew it was about a zoo. It was a kids movie.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was going to be about
Andrew
the
zoo. Andrew and I can discuss this next week.
Yeah, we'll go see this.
Yeah.
I will say I watched we watched Flow the other night, which is on Max right now, and it won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars on Sunday. Beat out Wild Robot, which was our favorite, and like Inside Out too. It's a really, really good movie. If you like animation at all, if you have kids, there's no dialogue. It's animals acting like animals. They don't talk. But I highly recommend this movie. I wasn't super excited about it going into it, and I was shocked at how much we enjoyed it.
Oh, good. I haven't seen it, so I'll check it out.
Where that is.
It's on Max right now.
It's on Max.
Yeah, called Flow.
Mr. Movie, I did want to ask you, going back to the Oscars, which just happened, I mean, it seems like Hollywood is doing nothing but furthering its reputation of being just completely out of touch with the average moviegoer. I mean, the movie that won Best Picture has 570 F-bombs in it and apparently some hardcore borderline X-rated sex throughout the movie.
It's a hard R for sure, but it's a really good movie.
You've seen it and you think okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they're gonna bring it back. It's gonna play at the Fleur starting Friday. Again.
What gives you the idea that Americans have a problem with profanity and sex?
That's a good point. That's a good point. It's just when you look back over the past, I don't know, 5 Best Picture winners, they're like movies that most people have never seen.
Well, yeah, and the trend that I was, like it's a foreign language film that has subtitles, and that's what I was worried about. That's the disconnection that I've seen.
Yeah, and this one may have some subtitles because the man in the film is Russian, the kid is Russian, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Man meets woman at a sex shop, doing the dancing, and they get married.
Well, happens every
and then
day.
Mom and Dad find out. And
story as old as time.
They're not happy. Yeah, Keith, you know how this is.
Oh, yeah, I do. All right, Mr. Movie, thank you, and enjoy the movies.
Good to see you.
Mr. Movie presented by P&P Small Engines. Time now for Throwdowns.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Let's throw it down. It is powered by Heartland Tire and Auto, treating you like family in Ankeny, Waukee, Knoxville, Boone, and Creston, an authorized dealer of Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Murph, the Iowa and Iowa State women have both had up and down seasons, but both have a lot of potential heading into postseason play. Which team is a scarier opponent in March, the Hawkeyes or the Cyclones?
I think it's Iowa because they still have enough core players that were a part of 2 Final Fours and got to the championship games. There's one on your screen right there, Hannah Stuelke, and they are peaking at the perfect time. And Lucy Olson has really gotten better as the season has gone on, really comfortable in her role. So I think it's all kind of coming together for Iowa. Iowa's not a team I think anyone outside maybe the top 5 teams wants to see right now, but they've beaten USC. They nearly beat UCLA. They're good. Now we saw last year that Iowa State, Emily Ryan can heat up, and Audie Crooks is nearly unstoppable inside.
And they're hot
so
right now.
Yeah, if somebody wants to tell me their choice is Iowa State to this question, I can see that too, but I would pick Iowa.
Yeah, for the sake of that, I'll take Iowa State. I mean, I feel like they have played below their potential for much of this season, maybe most of this season this year. But we saw them the look that we got of them last year in the postseason led us to believe that they were going to be one of the best teams in the country this season. And they've been disappointing, but they've turned it on. Bill Fenley's teams can do that. They can get ready at the right time, and they can stir things up. So I'll go with Iowa State.
Andy, the Iowa men have 2 games left in the regular season, home against number 8 Michigan State, and then at Nebraska, where a win would put them into the Big Ten tournament as the 15 seed, and they'd have a game against the 10 seed in that. Andy, will the Hawkeyes get another win?
I don't think so. I think that this is, you could hear it in Peyton Sanford's voice. This team is defeated. They would certainly love to go out on top, but I think, deep down inside, the core of you is feeling defeated this year. This has been a really bad basketball season. There are not good tidings on the horizon. It doesn't seem there. So at the first sign of adversity in these games, I just feel like it's going to be difficult for them to, maintain themselves and push through and win.
Iowa's had a surprising amount of success against Michigan State. When you look at the past 10 games or so, they've done well, but I can't see them beating this Michigan State team with this Iowa team. Nebraska's a little bit of a mess right now, too. And Fred Hoiberg looks pretty frustrated. But that game is at Nebraska, correct?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so Iowa on the road, yeah, I don't think they're going to win another game.
All right, Murph, you brought it up there. Honora won 5 major Oscars on Sunday, including Best Picture, Director, Actress, and Screenplay. Does a film winning a bunch of Oscars still make you feel like you have to go see that movie?
Decreasingly so, because Nomadland and some the 1 year the woman who had sex with the fish in the pool,
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. I mean, it's getting to be where like, no, it doesn't make me feel like I have to go see it, but it still does impact it enough where I've tried to find out what this movie that won this year is about. And you and Mr. Movie said you enjoyed it, but it sounds like it needs a warning to people that it is a hard R.
Through history, there have been Best Picture winners that did not appeal to me at all. I don't know that that's anything new. It feels like it is, but it's not. I want to see this movie. I want to. That makes you feel good, right? When you hear that a movie is really good, and that's why you see it, and then you agree that it's really good. And I don't know that you can get a stronger recommendation than that. It doesn't always work, but I want it to work.
The hardest thing for me about a lot of modern movies is the ending. Like it just feels like they often don't stick the ending. Like Honora, a very good movie. Mikey Madison was fantastic. I was glad to see she won Best Actress. The ending, it's just there's a weird ending to this movie, and it just kind of leaves you like, They don't end
talking
movies
me
the
out
way
of
they
it.
used to.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew.
Nope, not watching that. Time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD squared.
Yeah, and it's powered by Game Day Men's Health, where I go get my testosterone replacement shots each and every week, and they've been working wonders for me. I mean, if you saw some of those pictures of Chris Williams down in Tempe for that fight night last week, I mean, that guy's jacked up on testosterone. He looks great. Chad Lysico's doing great. Get to Game Day Men's Health, free consultation. They'll let you know if you need something or if you don't need anything, and they can help you out. You guys know how much I enjoy foreign language calls of big sports moments. Now, big sports moment maybe is a stretch here, but John Cena turned heel over the weekend in WWE. And shout out to Drew Shipley, who pointed me to this. The WWE put out a compilation of 6 different foreign language calls of this big moment.
What the? ¡Au! ¡Fas! ¡Oh! John Cena con una patada. 什么意思？刚才看了一眼洛克，这难道塞纳出卖了他的灵魂吗？ Est-ce qu'un 17e titre pour une âme, une carrière, une légende? Ah, que isso? Ah, Cena!
And of course, the Korean one was the best one of them all.
Are they all upset that he's a heel now, or they're surprised? Are they pretending to be surprised?
That's it.
Hard to say.
That's it. Quickie poll results presented by WCI Pools and Spa. Pool and Spa probably feel pretty good there in Iowa today, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is a spa kind of day, getting that warmth. Which is more likely for the Cyclone men in the big dance? First round exit or Final Four? This is a 66% first round exit. 34% still believing that the Final Four is more likely.
Well, I appreciate everyone's patience here, especially with some of the Wi-Fi signal problems I had. That did turn out to be a positive. Andy, thank you to you and AD for rolling with that. It turned out to be a positive because I was forced to move, and not more than 5 minutes, the entire Kabursky Brothers of San Diego team came in. It's just all around those grounds. They had mowers and weed trimmers. So it's a good thing that I moved inside, and I appreciate you guys carrying us during those awkward moments there, and for everybody's patience and the understanding that we're out here to give Bryce a big hug from the Iowa Everywhere Nation.
Well, in compliments to that closet that you found there, the Wi-Fi in there is fantastic.
I'll be back, I'm sure.
Since that, yeah, good looking closet. And please give our best to Tom and Bryce.
We love you, Bryce.
I sure will. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy here on Iowa Everywhere. Please like and subscribe. We enjoy having you with us, and we appreciate all the kind comments. We're back Friday, and we hope you're back with us too.